Now for my winners for the final week of the NFL season. Let's start off with the Denver Broncos, the game they had against the Chiefs, and it looked like this Chiefs team did not want to win this football game. It looked like, for sure, a tank job. They didn't want to see the Bengals in, the playoffs. They didn't want to see the Bengals play Buffalo. Buffalo probably could have lost that game. They didn't want to see the Bengals at any point in the playoffs. That's how bad they were losing this football game. Carson Wentz, oh my goodness. He didn't look like he should be a starter in this league at all. At all, even with this Chiefs. And if the Chiefs didn't have Patrick Mahomes, this team would look terrible if that's what we would see. If that's the team we would see. I know some of their starters were out. It was just Carson Wentz out there. But this Chiefs team, it did not look like a good look. But the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix, had a good performance. I know it's against not starters, but 4 passing touchdowns, 26 for 29, 321 yards, a damn near perfect performance, efficient as fuck. They took care of business. The run game was going. Broncos defense had a big day. Jonathan Cooper now has 10.5 sacks on the season. Nick Benito has 12 sacks. So yeah, this pass rush is legit. This defense is legit. They're healthy too now. So going into this game against the Buffalo Bills, they're healthy too now. So they're going to be in the playoffs now. It's a win and you're in situation, and they took care of business. So props to them. And this team has a league high $89 million in dead cap space, and they still made it to the playoffs with the rookie quarterback. Sean Payton showed you why he's still one of the best coaches in the NFL. And Vance Joseph, what he did with this defense, Riley Moss, young talent on this defense. Pat Surtain looked like the best corner in the NFL this year, other than Jalen Johnson. Maybe some Bears bias. But yeah, this defense is legit. Bo Nix and Sean Payton was a really good relationship this year, and Sean Payton showed you what he can do when he has his guy at quarterback. And yeah, the offense looked good. He made it really easy for Bo Nix to succeed in his rookie season. And this was a really good rookie season. Teams in the playoffs. Broncos, are they a dangerous team? Can they beat Buffalo? Defensively, they match up really well with Buffalo. They have, the corners to match up with the lack of weapons Buffalo has. They could take advantage in those matchups. Pat Surtain, he's going to lock down Keon Coleman, Amari Cooper. He could take away the best guy, whoever it is, whoever has the hot hand in that game. And the Broncos have pretty solid run defense. So I think that defense for the Broncos could handle business against Buffalo. Josh Allen's going to have to be great, and I think he will be great. He always is in the playoffs, but I don't think this is a matchup that will be a blowout. I think this will be a lot closer than people think. So the Broncos, in their first playoff debut with Bo Nix, a rookie quarterback, Sean Payton, I think this game would be a lot better than people think, and I think it'll be a lot closer than people think. The Broncos, huge props to them for taking care of business this year. They're in the playoffs for the first time since they won the Super Bowl. The next team I have as a winner, the Los Angeles Chargers, as a wild card. They played their starters. They clinched the playoffs already the week before, playing their starters, taking care of business against the Raiders, putting on a clinic. Now they have the opportunity to go up against a wounded duck Houston Texans playoff team. The Texans have just about everybody hurt. Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell. This offense is struggling. The offensive line is struggling. Chargers defense has a really solid defense. The run game's going to be able to get going. They have a really nice matchup for them in the first round. Jim Harbaugh, this team, every team he is on wins, and the team has a toughness to them. They run the ball. They win in the trenches. I think the Chargers are going to take care of business against this Texans team, put them out of their misery. They could set themselves up for a divisional round matchup against a rival in the Kansas City Chiefs, and that will be a really good divisional round matchup. Better than, Texans, Chiefs. I think the Chargers will play the Chiefs tough, but you know who's going to come down with that victory at the end of it. J.K. Dobbins is healthy, though, and Quentin Johnson could be an X factor. 13 catches, 186 yards. What the fuck? Huge performance out of him, and he's going from being a bust to a guy that has a very high ceiling, and he could reach that now with the confidence Jim Harbaugh and this new coaching staff has put into him. And, him playing with Herbert, him and Herbert have been connecting at a high level, so especially in the red zone with touchdowns, yeah, Quentin Johnson is a problem once again. The Commanders are another winner for me. They've probably had their best season in franchise history, damn near. They've had their best season since 1991, 12-5. This year they're a wild card team, and they have a quarterback that's arguably a top 10 quarterback. And the matchup they have too, It's another Chargers situation. They won their game. They still rested their starters, but they were able to squeak out a victory against Dallas. Jaden Daniels played for a little bit in that game, but they handled business, took care of business, and now they have a matchup against the Tampa Bay Bucks, which the Bucks beat them earlier on in the season. It was a blowout, but this is a different Commanders team. This is a team that's playing with confidence. They got Austin Eckler back. Brian Robinson's healthy. Jonathan Allen is back for this team on the defense, and Jaden Daniels is playing at a high level, playing quarterback as good as any quarterback in the league. Right now is in MVP conversations. Wasn't like that when they played the Bucks the first time. And the Bucks, who knows if Antoine Winfield's going to play in this game? That's going to be a huge deciding factor in a huge deciding factor in how this Bucks defense plays. But the Saints were able to have success against the Bucks with Spencer Rattler and really nobody out there offensively. No weapons really. No Chris Olave, no Alvin Kamara. So things could be interesting. I think this Commanders offense will be able to take it to this Bucks defense, and Baker Mayfield versus Jaden Daniels. I think this is going to be one of the best games wild card weekend. I think I would say the Commanders get the victory. I think Jaden Daniels' offense, they put up a great performance in his debut, and just the confidence he's been building up all season, it's going to come into fruition for this game. And Eagles versus Commanders could be a matchup we see in the divisional round, and that series was split in the regular season. Jalen Hurts didn't play in the second game, but I'm interested to see what that game will look like. The Detroit Lions, with all the injuries they've had defensively, David Montgomery going down, losing pivotal players on this team, they went out and dominated the Minnesota Vikings. They made Sam Darnold look like Sam Darnold from the Jets, spooked, missing wide open throws, missing touchdowns, missed about 5 touchdowns in that game. Aaron Glenn put up a masterclass calling the game defensively, did a great job. And Ben Johnson, he got the best out of Brian Flores. Jahmyr Gibbs went off in this game. Jared Goff played well. So the Detroit Lions dominated this Minnesota Vikings team that was 14-2 before this game, and a team that people thought was the second best team in the NFC, or the third behind Philly. So as one of the best teams in the NFC, Detroit took it to them and showed them that they're the real big dog in the NFC North. And in the NFC, they secured the first seed in the NFC. Having a bye, David Montgomery is going to be able to come back. They're going to get some other guys back in the divisional round. And Dan Campbell, this Detroit Lions team, they look like they're setting themselves up to be in the NFC Championship game and come out the NFC potentially. And if they continue to get other guys for the Super Bowl, they could have Aiden Hutchinson back too. But I think NFC Championship game will be between Detroit Lions and Philly. I think Minnesota will lose to the Rams. We'll see the Rams versus the Lions again, and that game will be a classic performance. Matthew Stafford versus his old team, Detroit Lions. Jared Goff versus his old team, the Los Angeles Rams. That will be a classic performance. But I think Detroit will squeak out and be victorious. And we'll see the Eagles match up with Detroit. The game we've been waiting to see. Two juggernauts in the NFC, and I think Philly could get the best out of Detroit in that game. The run game will be too much for them, and offensively, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown. The Lions secondary is pretty good, but they don't have anybody to stop A.J. Brown. He's too much of a physical presence. The size will be too much for that secondary. I know they did a good job against Justin Jefferson, but A.J. Brown is a different matchup nightmare. Justin Jefferson is a better receiver, but in terms of matchup, in terms of having the manpower to lock down A.J. Brown, I think that's a different animal. So Philly, with the firepower they have, Jalen Hurts in the playoffs, he comes alive, and he's a winning quarterback, one of the best winning quarterbacks in the league. He's going to show up big time for them. So I think Philly will take care of business against Detroit in the NFC Championship game. Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.